All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest challenges for any creator, staring at a blank page and trying to pull a fully formed, compelling character out of thin air. I'm going to walk you through a professional, step-by-step blueprint that turns that whole process from intimidating to exciting. Let's get to it.
We've all been there, right? You've got this awesome idea buzzing around in your head, but then you sit down and there it is, the empty canvas. It can feel like a huge wall to climb. So where on earth do you even start? Well, the secret isn't about being a perfect artist from the very first line. Not at all. It's about having a solid process you can trust.
And this is that process. This is our roadmap. We're going to break it down into 5 key stages. We'll start with a blueprint, then we'll unleash a storm of raw ideas, refine our best sketch, breathe life into it with color, and then, for the grand finale, we'll add that final polish that makes it all sing.
Okay, first up, the blueprint. This is so crucial. Before you even think about what your character looks like, you have to think like a designer. You have to define your goals. You see, great character design isn't just about drawing something cool. It's about solving a problem. So let's break down what those goals usually are. First, you want a character that has a strong cover presence. Something that just grabs you from a thumbnail. They absolutely need expressive faces, especially if you're working in comics where you're going to be right up in their grill in every panel. And of course, the design has to be visually striking and memorable. But, and this is a big one that people forget, it has to be relatively easy to redraw. Trust me, if you have to draw this character 100 times, you'll thank yourself for keeping it manageable. All right, moving on to stage 2, unleashing the raw ideas. This is where we stop thinking and start doing. The whole point here is speed and exploration. We are hunting for interesting, dynamic shapes, not pretty drawings. This is the messy part, and that's a good thing. And the main tool for this hunt is the silhouette-first approach. Just think about it for a second. Our brains are wired to see big shapes long before we see tiny details. If you can recognize a character from just their shadow, you've won half the battle. That means you've created something iconic. All the cool belts and buckles in the world can't save a boring, generic silhouette. This is the absolute foundation of your design. So here's the workflow in a nutshell. Grab a brush that feels kind of like a marker, something you can't get too detailed with. Line up a bunch of silhouettes next to each other so you can compare them and push for variety. Exaggerate everything. Big shapes, small shapes, weird shapes. And the most important rule, do not erase. Seriously. Turn off your brain's editor and just let the happy accidents happen. This is all about discovery, not perfection. And this quote right here is the mantra for this whole stage. You have to get this into your head. You're not trying to make a beautiful drawing. You're a designer using shapes to solve a problem. And that problem is, how do I make this character look unique and communicate who they are? Okay, so we've made a glorious creative mess. We've got a page full of these energetic, chaotic blobs. Fantastic. Now it's time for part 3. Refining that sketch and giving some actual structure to all that chaos. You can really see the difference in mindset here. That first sketch pass was all about speed and big ideas, just pure exploration. But the refinement pass? That's when we slow down. We get more deliberate, we clean things up. Our focus shifts from just silhouettes to things like anatomy, form, and how the details will actually work. And the actual technique for this is super simple. Just think of it like you're putting a piece of digital tracing paper over those initial rough sketches. You create a new layer, you drop the opacity on your messy stuff, and you use that raw energy as a guide to build a cleaner, more defined drawing right on top. You get to keep all the dynamism of the original scribble, but with a ton more clarity. With our line work looking solid, we're ready for stage 4. This is where we really start to breathe some life into this character. It's time for color. And remember, color isn't just decoration. It's one of the most powerful tools you have for unifying a design and telling a story. The workflow for this can be incredibly fast and efficient. First, use a selection tool to create a clean, solid silhouette for each character. This is a game changer because it lets you color without going outside the lines. Then, just block in your flat colors. Don't overthink it, just get the basic palette down. From there, you can use adjustment layers to tweak and experiment with those colors endlessly until you land on something that just feels right. Now, here is a massive pro tip, especially if you're designing a group of characters. Use a consistent shared color palette across the whole lineup. This is what makes a team of heroes or a shadowy organization feel like they actually belong together. It creates a visual harmony that tells your audience, just at a glance, that these people are connected. And here we are, the final stage, adding the polish. This is my favorite part. This is where we take our solid, but maybe a little flat design and use a few simple tricks to make it absolutely pop off the page. This is where the real magic happens.
So have a look at this. This is our character before the final polish. The design is strong, the lines are clean, the colors work, it's good. But let's be honest, it feels a bit flat, doesn't it? It doesn't have that sense of depth or atmosphere that really pulls you into the image. And now, check out the after. It's the exact same character, the same drawing, but it feels like it's in a different league. With just a few simple touches, they feel dimensional. There's lighting, there's shadow, there's atmosphere. It's been transformed from a flat design into a really compelling illustration. So what's the secret sauce? It's really just a handful of quick techniques. Using a hard light layer mode is fantastic for adding simple graphic shadows and highlights. Then you can go in with some dark graphic accents to add some inky weight to the lines. A simple soft gradient can add a ton of atmosphere and help focus the viewer's eye. And of course, a final pass with some adjustment layers to tweak the colors and really unify the whole thing. So when you see it all laid out, you realize that a great final image isn't the goal itself. It's just the natural result of a fun, creative, and sometimes messy journey. The real creativity, the real magic, it all happens in the process. So now you have the blueprint. The only question left is, what story are you going to tell next?